Hello, fellow collectors, and happy holidays. I'm here with Mr. Larry Hama. Yes, Mr. Larry Hama at the Big Apple show. He's come by to look at some stuff and get some bags to sell some stuff. So I wanted to say hi to Mr. Hama and say, you know, it's like really cool that you're associated with the actual creation of such great 80s properties that I want you to talk about.
Okay.
Like this one. Like G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
I mean, you were the actual design and writer on a lot of those characters.
I
right?
didn't design the characters. I wrote all the backstories. I wrote all the file cards for the backs of the packages.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Defined who the characters were, and I named them.
Okay, so somebody was doing the sketches. Who was that?
Ron Rudat did the
In the production studio.
at Hasbro.
At Hasbro, okay.
He created the look. They would send me the Ron Rudat drawing, and it would be labeled something like infantry guy.
Yeah.
Or mortar man.
Mortar man.
And I'd have to come up with a name for him, a name for the character, his file name, his birthplace, all his background.
Oh wow, that's so cool. So, I mean, you were working for Hasbro at the time. There was a job that was farmed out at Marvel. No, you're at Marvel. Okay.
Editor
so,
at Marvel.
So Marvel, Hasbro was kicking back the creative to Marvel. It's like, oh, we got to do a comic book of this, but we don't know how to do that. You do it.
Right.
Okay.
But at the time, toy license books were just from the artists and writers' viewpoint were the bottom of the barrel. Paid the lowest rates.
Oh, really?
Okay. Because the licensing fee came off the top of the page rate.
Wow.
So no A-list or even B-list writers or artists wanted to work on any toy license book, which is why most of them were crappy. So with the resurrection of G.I. Joe, they wanted to get a better take on it. So Jim Shooter went to every writer on the Marvel contractors, and they all turned it down. Contacted every writer that wasn't on the contract. Everybody turned it down. He was going down to offices of Marvel, one end of the building to the other, asking anybody in the office if they would write it. My office was the last office, so I took it.
Right next to the broom closet, right?
Yeah.
Really?
Literally.
I mean, so were you in the bullpen? Were you working full time, or
I
were
was
you
a
like
full-time
freelance and you had a desk?
I had a full-time job as an editor. I was editor of Crazy magazine.
Oh,
I had my own staff. I had my own office, but it was at the end of the hall because I was sort of outside the Marvel universe.
Yeah, that was Martin Goodman's enterprise, right?
Well, no, it was all Marvel.
But it was an extension of the Humorama stuff that ended up in Crazy.
Right.
That was the last of it.
Yeah, last of the black and white magazine.
Yeah, humor. The humor stuff. And it wasn't all the girly girl stuff anymore, right? So was there any vestige of the Martin Goodman office or authority still? No, it just fell under the Marvel umbrella. Well, that's interesting, yeah. So the writing of all the backstories, so you wrote, this guy came in with a visor and had armor on, and you decided his name was Snake Eyes?
Yep. Well, the visor came later. First, he had goggles.
Oh, he had goggles. Was his face messed up at that time?
I didn't know. The thing is, like, he was a figure that was completely covered up. So I thought, I'll make him sort of a mystery guy.
Right. Yeah. Well, that worked.
Yeah.
That became, that mystery guy thing and his unveiling and like issue, what was it, 80 something, that he took his mask off for the first time. Were you associated with the book then?
I wrote every single issue for Marvel.
Every single one?
Pretty much.
1 to 154.
155 issues.
155, yeah.
Something like 5 fill-ins by other writers, but I've never read them.
Never read those guys?
No,
they were outside of the Hama continuity.
Yeah. I haven't read any of the other G.I. Joe stuff that I do, because I don't want to alter my continuity.
Right.
Because, if they...
You don't want to pollute yourself.
No, if they get some... No, well, I wouldn't call it polluting, but if they get in some, like, for instance, at other companies, they had other titles and other writers like killed off characters, brought in new characters. Yeah, but they don't exist in my universe.
Oh, like IDW and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Devils do.
Devils too, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a publishing entity that was just made for G.I. Joe? I don't know what else they did.
Pretty much, he did.
Right?
You know, he didn't have anything. He somehow got the license as a fluke.
And just did G.I. Joe, right? Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think he did Transformers.
Oh, we got Transformers a little bit.
It was all. I think, a package.
When you did the crossover with Transformers, that was in issues like 130 something. That crossover was that part of the licensing coming in, saying, "Hey, let's mix it up with Transformers."
Yeah.
Right. That was Hasbro too.
Yeah, that's my idea.
Was it your idea? Okay. So you consider yourself a writer first
No.
off? No?
I've never considered myself a writer. I don't identify as a writer. At all.
You just said you did the entire G.I. Joe universe and wrote all their backstories. You had to.
Well, the reason I did that was because I spent 10 years trying to get writing work and nobody would give me writing work.
Okay.
I had to draw comics for over 15 years before anybody would let me write them.
So how many issues of G.I. Joe did you actually draw?
I only drew like 3
A handful.
issues.
Yeah. Right. Because
But I've drawn like
you started with Herb, right?
who?
Herb Trimpe.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, he did the first one, and
But you know,
I meant like into the 30s, I think, right?
I do more drawing than anything else. It's just not visible. I did cover sketches for
Layouts, editorial.
I did the cover sketches for every issue of G.I. Joe.
Right.
And every comic that went in my office, all the Conans, all the Savage Swords, all the Savage Tales. Plus I did cover sketches for the other editors, doing 5 to 10 a week.
So they considered you an editor, a solo book editor, like on G.I. Joe. You edited that
I
universe?
was never the editor.
No, never. They
Yeah.
never gave you that title.
No, because I was writing it. You couldn't edit and write the same thing.
Oh,
was
okay.
a rule.
Okay, that was a rule.
It was a rule because people were abusing it. You know, editors were giving themselves rules.
So you'd have Mr. Shooter look it over and he'd say, "That looks great, Larry."
No, Denny O'Neill was the
Denny.
first editor. And then I went to something like 10 or 12 editors. A lot of different artists and makers and colors. But, you know, I was the assistant.
So when Zach and Beatty were doing some of that art in that range, right? Did you love working with them?
I like working with pretty much everybody. You know, most of my friends are artists.
Right.
I don't get along well with writers.
Oh, okay.
The thing is, every step of the way, from when I was a teenager trying to break into the business, artists gave me a helping hand. I would not be where I am today if I hadn't had help from Wally Wood, Neil Adams, Ray Morrow, Ralph Reese, tons of people. Artists in the comic book business love what they do, and they love to see new stuff. They're always encouraging, new things.
Yeah.
I mean, look how many people Neil Adams got into the business.
Right.
Right.
And look how many people he kept from getting. He deflected a lot of people. No, he was pretty harsh with portfolio reviews, but maybe
He was
that
truthful.
He was brutally honest. Let's put it that way.
I sat next to him for 3 years. Nobody else wanted to sit.
Oh no, in the office.
At the office, nobody
okay.
wanted to sit there because you were under his constant scrutiny. but I learned more from sitting there than I would have in a master's program at a university.
Wow.
And I saw him critique people. People left in tears.
Yeah, exactly. That's
or people would scream, that he didn't know what he was talking about and storm out. And
that's the last thing you can claim is that Neil didn't know what he was talking about.
And you know what? You never heard from those people.
Right.
Okay, the people that he read new buttholes for,
And listened.
and listened and kept coming back.
Yeah.
They were like Frank Miller.
Yeah.
Okay, who first showed up to show his artwork to Neil when he was like 17 years old. And Neil tore him. Frank kept coming back. Until the day that Neil picked up the phone and sicked him on Benny over I mean,
he was still kind of scratchy and raw, though. I mean, Mr. Jansen kind of tightened him up and gave him that look, and then the transition happened and became something else, right?
Klaus is really good. He was my first inker on my first solo comic.
Which one was that?
Wolf the Barbarian.
Oh, the Atlas?
For Atlas.
Jeff Robin?
Yeah.
Jeff's a friend of mine. I love Jeff. He's a great guy. Very successful writer now. Very successful. Yeah, that's so cool. So where did you get your training?
At the same school that Neil Adams.
Hard Knocks?
And
Oh no, you went to SVA?
I went, no, not SVA. Art and Design.
Art and Design. School of Art and Design.
Yeah, that's where Neil Adams went. That's where Alex Toth went. Dick Giordano, Frank Runner, Joe Jusko. If you went to Art and Design alumni page and looked at the list of their famous alumni, it's everybody who's made a name in comics from the 50s up through the 80s.
That's great. And who are the original teachers there that were?
My illustration teacher was Bernard Brix.
Oh wow,
Couldn't do much better than that.
that's great. Especially
Anyway,
for
I've
storytelling.
got people.
Well, yeah, that's so great. Thank you for your time. I appreciate that origin story of the great Larry Hama. I'm Anthony with Anthony's Comic Book Art here with Mr. Hama, and we're going to get started with the Big Apple Show.